Before we touch the terminal, let me explain what Claude Code actually is. Most people think it's ChatGPT in a terminal. It's not. It's an autonomous coding agent. Here's the difference. When you use ChatGPT, you ask a question, get an answer, copy paste it into your editor, and repeat. With Claude Code, you describe what you want, and the agent reads your files, edits your code, runs your tests, and loops until it's done. You don't copy paste anything. It has 60 plus built in tools. It can read files, write files, search your codebase, run terminal commands, even browse documentation. Think of it less like a chatbot and more like a junior developer sitting in your terminal who can actually touch your code. That's the mental shift. You're not asking questions, you're delegating tasks. Let's get it running. Open your terminal and run npm install -g at Anthropic AI/Claude Code. That installs it globally. Now, navigate to any project directory and just type Claude. That's it. You'll see the welcome screen with the Claude mascot. It shows your model, your plan, and your current directory. At the bottom, you'll see the prompt arrow. This is where you type. Before you type anything, notice that it loaded your Claude.md files if you have any. We'll set those up later. For now, let's give it something to do. Here's your first real task. I'm going to type, create a simple Express API with a health check endpoint and a user's endpoint that returns mock data. Add TypeScript and proper error handling. Watch what happens. Claude doesn't just give you code to copy, it creates files. It writes the package, JSON, installs dependencies, creates the source files, adds the types, and even runs the server to test it. Notice the tool calls on the left. Read, write, bash. Each one is Claude using a built-in tool. When it's done, you have a working project, not a code snippet, a working project. Try it right now. Open Claude Code in an empty directory and give it a task. Watch the tools fire. Now, let me show you what's actually happening under the hood. Claude Code runs an agent loop. Step 1. It reads your context. Your Claude.md files, the conversation history, and any tool results from the previous step. Step 2. It thinks. Based on all that context, it decides what to do next. Step 3. It picks a tool and executes it. Read a file, edit a file, run a command. Step 4. It takes the tool result, feeds it back into step 1, and loops. This loop runs until the task is complete. The key insight is that reading and thinking happen every iteration. That means your Claude.md instructions influence every single decision, not just the first one. Every tool call, every edit, every command, it rereads your instructions first. This is why Claude.md is so powerful. You're not giving a one-time prompt. You're programming the agent's behavior across the entire loop. Claude.md is the highest leverage thing you can configure. Let me show you how to set it up. Create a file called Claude.md in your project root. This file gets loaded every single turn. Not at session start, every turn. There's actually a hierarchy. First, ~/.claude/Claude.md, that's your global file. Your coding style, your preferences, things that apply to every project. Second, /Claude.md in your project root. That's project specific. Architecture decisions, conventions, file structure. Third, .claude/rules/star.md. These are modular rule files. One for testing, one for security, one for styling. Fourth, Claude.local.md. This is Git ignored. Your private notes, local paths, personal preferences. You get 40,000 characters total. Most people use about 200. Let me show you what a good Claude MD looks like. Architecture section. What framework, what database, what patterns. Conventions section. How you name files, how you structure imports, how you handle errors. A never section. Things Claude should never do. Never use any as a type. Never commit NV files. Never use console log. And a current sprint section. What you're working on right now. Deadlines, priorities. Put this in your project, and Claude Code transforms from a generic assistant into your assistant that knows your code base. Every time Claude Code asks allow this action and you click yes, that's a failure of configuration. Let me fix that. Open tilde slash dot Claude slash settings JSON. Add a permissions block with an allow array. Bash npm star, bash git star, edit src star star, write src star star. These are glob patterns. npm star means any npm command is pre-approved. src star star means any file in your source directory can be edited without asking. There are three permission modes. Default mode asks for everything. Allow edits mode auto approves file changes in your working directory. And auto mode, which is the sweet spot. It runs a lightweight classifier on each action and auto approves safe ones. Set it up once. Save the file. Restart Claude Code. Now it flows without interruption. You'll go from clicking allow 50 times per session to 0. This alone makes Claude Code feel twice as fast. The way you talk to Claude Code matters. Here are the patterns that work. First, be specific about the outcome, not the steps. Bad prompt. Read the auth file and change line 42 to use JWT. Good prompt. Migrate the auth module from session-based to JWT. Include refresh tokens and update the tests. You describe what. Claude figures out how. Second, give context about why. Bad. Add rate limiting. Good. Add rate limiting to the public API endpoints. We're getting hit by scrapers, and it's costing us on the database. The why helps Claude make better architectural decisions. Third, reference your Claude.md. If you set up conventions, Claude follows them automatically. You don't need to repeat. Don't use any as a type in every prompt. It already knows. Fourth, use follow-up prompts to steer. If Claude goes in the wrong direction, don't wait for it to finish. Press escape, then redirect. Actually, use the repository pattern instead. Zero penalty for interrupting. Your context is preserved. This is the feature that blew my mind when I learned about it. When Claude Code creates a subagent, it forks a byte-identical copy of the parent context. The API caches this. 5 agents running in parallel cost barely more than one agent running sequentially. There are 3 modes. Fork, which inherits the parent context. Teammate, which runs in a separate terminal pane and communicates via file-based mailbox. And worktree, which gets its own Git branch for isolated work. Here's how to use it. Tell Claude, spin up 3 agents. One to refactor the auth module. One to write integration tests. One to update the API documentation. All at the same time. All sharing the prompt cache. Instead of doing 3 tasks sequentially in 30 minutes, you do them in parallel in 10 minutes for the same cost. The architecture is literally built for this. Using Claude Code single-threaded is leaving money on the table. Hooks are the power user feature that separates beginners from pros. In your settings, JSON, you can hook into 25 plus lifecycle events, the most useful ones. Pre-tool use. This fires before Claude executes any tool. You can auto-run your linter before every file write. Post-tool use. This fires after every tool execution. Auto-run tests after every edit. User prompt submit. This fires when you send a message. You can automatically inject context into every prompt. Recent git diffs, test output, project state. Here's a practical example. Add a hook that runs npm run, lint dash dash fix after every file edit. Now Claude's output is always formatted correctly without you asking. Add another hook that runs your test suite after edits. Now, Claude automatically knows if it broke something and fixes it in the same loop. You're not just prompting better, you're programming the environment that Claude operates in. That's the real extension API. Let me show you the daily workflow that puts this all together. Always start with dash dash continue. This resumes your last session with all its accumulated context. Never start fresh unless you're on a completely new task. Use slash compact proactively. Think of it as a save point in a video game. When you've finished a chunk of work, compact. It preserves what matters and clears what doesn't. Connect MCP servers for external tools, database, cloud provider, CI/CD. They load lazily, so there's zero overhead until you actually use them. Keyboard shortcuts to memorize. Escape to interrupt and redirect. Slash compact to save context. Slash clear to start fresh. And tab to accept edits. The bottom line. Claude Code is not a chatbot. It's an agent orchestration platform. The people getting 10 times more output aren't writing better prompts. They configured their Claude.md. They set up permissions. They use subagents. They hook into the lifecycle. They let context accumulate. You now know everything you need. Go build something.